Tonight on Need to Know, they're helping to curb violence, bridge divided communities, and teach history while sowing seeds of empathy. And get this, they're all young people in their teens and early 20s and 30s with nothing but a deep desire to change our city, our region, and our world. Don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss this all-new Need to Know starting right now. Without a doubt, we are living in a time of great tension in our country. Race, gender, religion, politics, and policing are a handful of the issues challenging modern society. They're the issues we talk about often on this show. And they're some of the issues being tackled by the group ArtForce 5, founded at Alfred University. Armed with passion and paint, these young people are using art to promote equality, inspire creativity, and build community. Their work most recently took them to Atlanta, Georgia for a special Super Bowl project airing on the NFL Network this Friday. Here to explain how art builds and heals, we have Mawia Elawad and Alexandria Hubble, facilitators with the group ArtForce 5. And welcome to the show. Welcome back to you, Mawia.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So the motto of ArtForce 5 is, in so many words, creativity over conflict. And I'm curious to hear from both of you, just your opinion, what makes art an effective platform that can really address some of these pressing issues that are happening in varied communities? And I'll start with you, Mawia.
I think what really makes this a really interesting form of creativity is that everyone has it and everyone has the capability to tap into it in some form of way. And a lot of the conversations we have when people come up, it's like the first thing they say is, oh, we have not a lick of artistic ability in our body. And we try to challenge that and really help individuals realize that everyone can be an artist, everyone has that ability. It's just really about looking into that subconscious doubt that you have. And we help bring that in a community aspect, so.
Alexandria?
That was awesome. I'd like to point out that art is also a place of vulnerability for a lot of people, and it can be used to express a full range of emotions from sorrow to joy to anger. And I'd like to emphasize that when people get together and they create together and make art together, they're sitting in empathy with each other and they're feeling together at the same time.
So I really want people to get to understand ArtForce 5 at its core. So explain what it is that you do, the types of workshops that you lead, the types of conversations that you facilitate, all under this like really awesome umbrella of art.
So I think I'll start out by saying, like, our motto is that we are not the remedy, we are the reflection.
That's good. We're not the remedy, we're the reflection.
So we take that with us everywhere. And ArtForce 5 is really based on people, college students, alums, community members, who really want to take the opportunity of bringing art into communities to just not only celebrate and rejoice, but also remember and learn important components, whether if it's history or a teachable moment that's relative for today and topics that are happening today. It's just become a very reflective way to get individuals and the community to participate, and also very important dialogues that normally do not have the capability to happen outside of such settings, which goes back to Alexandria's point of that empathy and that ability to provide that like vulnerable space for people to have such dialogue through art. And it becomes kind of a way for people to put their guard down and share their stories without really having to feel like there's a compromise behind it. And it ends up bringing people together at the end of the day. The narratives don't change too much, but it's all down to how do people deal with it when it comes to that So it's just a bunch of passionate people.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of the nonviolence workshops, can you address that, Alexandria, and how that ties in?
So I work for the MK Gandhi Institute for Nonviolence, and I'm currently running an intensive right now. I should be there right now, but I'm here for just a little bit. And the empathy and the work that we do there, we use a lot of nonviolent communication skills, like a lot of affect I statements, how to address your needs and feelings, and I bring that to a lot of the schoolwork I do. I work in a lot of Rochester City School districts, and I'm located in Monroe right now, where I use art in just that way, where I'm cultivating this dialogue with students, especially when they're really, really angry at something or upset or feeling lonely, and you're just sitting there, and it's really, it's like almost nothing. It's meditative. And as you're there doing this thing, it could be really therapeutic too. It like brings out these emotions in a really gentle way.
And then, so that's how we bring individuals like Alexandria to be part of the program, and we bring these sort of workshops into the classroom by pairing with educators and teachers and community leaders who feel like their students may benefit from some of the dialogue and conversation that happens with such work. Sometimes it's at a whim, and we reach out to these kind of, whether it's educators, teachers. We have a very good relationship with Henry Hudson School 28, where we go in and do these nonviolent workshops, and we bring stories of like superheroes and relative individuals today that are making change in communities as a way to, again, act as a therapeutic understanding of how to really overcome conflict with creativity.
Let's talk a little bit about Atlanta and the Super Bowl. So Art Force 5 was invited by NFL Networks to go to Atlanta to work with the Atlanta Police Department on this really important collaborative project, highlighting and really bringing to awareness the first Black police officers. There were 8 of them in Atlanta. We're talking the late 1940s. So explain the significance for both of you, and the significance for Atlanta of working on this particular project.
I'll start.
Yes, please.
So I think what's really impressive about this whole experience for us is that it was a learning process for me as well. And it's kind of, whenever we do these projects, we always get to reflect on history ourselves before we bring these into the community. So we really had a chance to kind of walk down the same street that these police officers walked down when they first put on their uniform, and a whole parade broke out in the community in celebrating them. And that's that impactful experiences that really just kind of helped us remember that no matter how hard it was, to maybe pull people into these conversations, we've grown out of the experience as well, and kind of helped bring that resilience back that these police officers have had to experience throughout their life. And for those that continue to be part of the police force, we're kind of helping bring that resilience back into the community and helping the community remember the history and how important it is. And it just happened to be like, Black History Month. And so it was a lot of appreciation, and just that area that we were at with the YMCA, where they used to be stationed as a precinct. There was like an African American History Museum, library, resource center there. There was like a small local owned bookstore by an African American woman right near the college. So it's a very historical portion of town that held a lot of significance that may have diminished by the everyday people that walk there that don't realize it. But we just kind of helped bring that story back to the surface.
Alexandria, in terms of reactions, feedback, things that you heard from either police officers or members of the community in Atlanta while working on this project, tell me about them. Just so to kind of dig down a little bit deeper to find out, how were people responding to this?
I sat with the ancestors, the family members of the police officers. I believe it was Sergeant Ernest Lyons' family, and it was 3 generations of them that came to the table, and we sat all together and we painted, and they brought all of these really beautiful commemorative items like when he was promoted, pictures of him, articles of him in the newspaper at the time. And it was just really special to sit there and watch as the granddaughter spoke about her grandfather, and her mother was there. And it was like bringing someone to life again, having that person sit at that table with me, and I felt invited into their family, and it was really beautiful. And we got a chance to work with them a few more times, and then they came to the display. Mm-hmm. It was so I felt really connected with the Ernest Lyons family.
And in terms of the NFL and the Atlanta Police Department inviting you to be there, I guess what was their goal, their intention of having you work on this project?
I think that their goal was really to kind of help bridge the community and provide that opportunity to not only impact and show the younger generations of the history that's cultivated in Atlanta, but also kind of act as an opportunity to start different conversations and different dialogues. And we kind of got an understanding of that through our experiences as we went around the tables and facilitated the creative portion of the mosaics and everything. How the police officers really valued their community. It was just about finding different ways to have those conversations and kind of bridge that gap. So it was a really great way to partner with the Boys and Girls Club, the police community over there, and bring in like an outside artistic force to really kind of help make sure that that narrative was being captured.
Mm-hmm. Well, I should point out that in 2016, Art Force 5 was awarded $5,000 for the Democrat and Chronicles Unite Rochester grant, and the group immediately partnered with the Rochester Police Department. You worked on 6 mobile mosaics exploring issues of equality and violence and other current events, and your work since then has just, I mean, you've been all over the country. I mean, you've been doing a lot of fascinating work, and I understand that one thing that you want to do while Alfred University is really the home base of Art Force 5, there is this deep desire to have significant presence in Rochester for this particular group. So tell me about, what would that look like, and where do you see issues in Rochester where you believe Art Force 5 can help address and can help build those bridges?
You could start.
Okay, so it sounds kind of goofy, and I think that a lot of initial dreams are really big and voluminous. Mm-hmm.
Voluminous? Yeah.
Voluminous, yes, thank you. And I remember Dan talking about having a house here that would be an Art Force 5 house, and then having alums like me and Mawia to be potentially den mothers and have these activism, artistic activism pieces there, and inviting people in to experience it with us. So yeah.
So the goal is really to build upon that.
Yes, definitely. And just continue fortifying our relationships with community-based organizations, whether it's the city school board, police department, mayor's office, and just kind of acting as a way to really bridge and bring those conversations onto the table and into the community.
Well, unfortunately, we have to close for now, but you have a chance to see these young women and their colleagues with Art Force 5 in action, working with Atlanta police and NFL players when the NFL Network airs a special edition of NFL 360 Impact and Influence. That's tomorrow night, Friday, February 22nd at 9 p.m. And you can also learn more about the group by going to artforce5.com. A mass shooting outside the Boys and Girls Club of Rochester that took the lives of 3 young men continues to haunt our community. Since the tragic events of August 19th, 2015, more area teens are using their voices to speak out against violence and injustices directly impacting our neighborhoods and our youth. Some of the young people leading that effort are youth organizers with the Center for Teen Empowerment. Their Stop the Violence events, among other outreach campaigns, are helping to change the story of the city's west side. Youth organizers Yasir Phipps, Destiny Ford, and Deanna Greer join me now to discuss the social problems they're working to change in our city. And welcome to all of you. I appreciate you being here. So the problems that you are taking on, the issues in our community, they are things that people will scratch their heads over. It's really hard for them to begin to even grasp. How do we start the process of addressing these things? And yet you just jump in and do the work. So I want people to know a little bit kind of, you have a unique way of discussing the issues that are at play right now and how you plan to address them. So if you can, and Yasir, I'll give this to you to begin. How do you decide? How do you and your peers decide what you want to focus in on and tackle?
There's a lot to tackle in the community. So just to start, it starts within the teens and social media and all that, because that's where everything people want to fight, and then people get hurt, and that's what we don't want. So we got to start from what goes on between our peers. Yeah.
And then when you discuss these things that are happening between your peers, how then do you kind of hone in and figure out, okay, let's do this, let's try this, let's do this? Because you've got events going on all the time, all year round, as a way to raise awareness and to bring a change. So how do you kind of then figure out what will speak to other young people?
I think what we try to do at Teen Empowerment is make it artistic and make it something that teens want to listen to and be engaged with. Like we do spoken words, poems, we do raps, we have open mics and we have kickbacks, which is basically a party. And then we talk about conscious stuff and stuff that people need to know. So that's just a way to rule the teen ends and make them think differently about the situation so they can understand we're all on the same page and we just all want to do better together.
So for those who are tuning in and are learning about teen empowerment for the first time, a little bit of background. TE hires, trains, and empowers urban youth to solve issues that are impacting our society and our communities. And this is a model that began in Boston in 1992, and then the Rochester location was launched in 2003. So taking on violence, this is one big thing that you're working on. It's not an easy feat to do this. And I think sometimes people may hear that word violence and they don't necessarily know how that translates into impacting individual lives. So if you will you share exactly how violence has impacted each of you personally? And I'll start with you, Dee.
Yeah, definitely. Violence is really a big thing, especially where I'm from, in my area, it's always a lot going on, and it causes a lot of pain and trauma, a lot. Violence is really life-changing and negatively, it's never a positive outcome, violence, It's we take L's, basically, our words. We take L's, and meaning we take a loss. We lose people, we lose things that we try to hold on to, and it's just it's a lot to deal with, to cope. It's hard. It's hard trying to live in a world where you're just surrounded by violence, Yeah.
Violence, it makes me feel uncomfortable, being unsafe, going to the bus stop even, this. I think in the beginning of the school year, my friend, he had got stabbed just going to his bus stop, and by some old dude that he didn't even know, just came up to him, tried to rob him, and put out his knife and stabbed him on the side. And so after that happened, it was my mom didn't want me to even go to the bus stop. She was taking me to school. So it was after that, I didn't know. And just how you said about the Genesee shooting, that was my cousin, Ray Ray, who had died. And I didn't know that was my cousin until he died. So it was violence just being that common in a small area is just too much.
I feel violence has impacted me, kind of what Dee said, it's just not really changed my mindset, because I feel I've known it my whole life, I've just grown up around in my home and in my community, but it changes how I think, how I move. I'm always aware of my surroundings. I don't go anywhere where I don't know people, or if I'm not with my sisters, and it almost took away my opportunity to be a kid, because it's I always have to be aware of where I'm at, and I have to think how other people gonna move to see if I'm make it home safe. So it's
You're talking about, you've all mentioned the residual effects, the things that people don't necessarily process the aftermath. And you're saying how life has changed. Your mom doesn't want you to go to the bus stop. I feel like you've lost the ability just to be a young person and to do the things that a young person should be able to do. Are there other things that you think when people look at this and they hear your stories, they just might not understand in terms of all the different ways that it can affect what you do, what you can't do, where you go, where you can't go?
Yes, I think a lot of people don't think about the root causes, or they don't think under the surface of violence. They just hear like urban teens and violence come up with it, and it's normalized now. Like people just like, oh, that's regular, that's just them. But like that's not the case. Like there's so much other stuff under it, like poverty and anger and oppression. Like the stuff that we go through, it can fuel the violence and it can fuel how we feel and how we move. And I like people who aren't sensitive to us and how we feel. Like they just think we're supposed to take everything that's thrown at us and be okay, but if we do snap, then it's a huge problem. Like,
yeah, definitely. Like nobody really sees what goes on behind everything that we show. Like we don't really show pain, but it's a lot of pain inside that we don't speak on, you know? Like it's like so many things that we go through in a daily, and 9 times out of 10 where violence comes from is anger. And it's built up anger. It's not just, you know, something that just happened. I'm mad. No, it's like things that's been bottled up and for a long time. And you know, everybody needs an outlet. And I'm not saying that violence is a good outlet at all, but you know, some people just have different ways of showing they're angry, and I feel like that's their way of saying, help me, I'm angry, I need help, you know? And people just take it as, no, they're violent, they're this, they're that, and it's not the case at all. It's not.
And from the outside looking in, like, it can't really affect you like that. Like seeing, like if you just see it on the news, you just think it's whatever. Like you just see it, react to it. But like we actually need help. Like some people who really need help. Like there's mental health problems going on in our community, and that's like why violence keeps going on, because people need help and nobody's helping them. And so it starts from that too.
I know in terms of addressing that very thing, I've talked with youth organizers in the past on this show about the mental health component and about making it okay to talk about it and to not shy away from discussing it and saying, I need help, this is how I'm feeling. What are other ways in which you're helping teens and you're talking to your peers about ways to cope with this?
I feel like a big thing that Teen Empowerment does is when we have our events, or if we have anything, like whether we're going to talk at school, anything like youth friendly, we just try to make it, like you said, we try to make it okay, try to embrace people and welcome them and let them know that it's okay for them to be feeling what we're feeling. Like in the summer, we had a trauma session that other youth organizers led, and we didn't even make it past the warrant question. Like it was like everybody was just crying and letting stuff out, and it was just like therapeutic, and it was a nice feeling to know that all the teens feel welcome to be crying in front of a room with strangers, like people that they probably seen twice in their life. And I feel like that's a big thing, and that's a good thing. And even in our everyday lives as youth organizers, just trying to like reach out to people when you see that they're sad, whether it's like they just look a little off, just making sure people are okay and they know that it's not a sickness or a disease. Like it's okay to be sad no matter what society is saying.
It's okay to not be okay.
Exactly. It's okay to not be okay.
As for someone who was there, like seeing that happen, like that was my first time ever feeling comfortable talking about mental health. For someone who has went through depression and anxiety, it was just like hard to before that it was hard to like talk about it. And like when that day happened, everyone was talking about their feelings and crying. Like it was just like easy. I feel like it was easier for everybody to talk. Because once that one person cried, the next person talked about their story, and it was like a comfortable feeling.
That leads me to when I was a kid, school was seen as the safe haven. It was supposed to be a safe haven. It was supposed to be a place where you could go and you could be nurtured and supported and have some of the conversations that you are facilitating with your peers. And yet, something that I've learned from you and your work is that that's not necessarily the case in schools or in every school. The climate, there can be an unhealthy school climate which doesn't create a space to discuss these types of things. So I guess what would be your advice to people who are watching, whether they're in the public education field or a politician, whatever the case may be, to say, this is what we need to have in schools so that we can undo this unhealthy school climate that some young people are dealing with? What do schools need to incorporate?
I definitely think, like, we talked about restorative practices, and Destiny, she has...
Explain what that means for people who don't know.
Restorative practices, honestly, I can't really get into it, but Destiny knows a lot about that.
Yes, like going off what Dee said, that's the same thing I was going to say. My advice would be restorative practices, like implement it into your school. And for people that don't know what restorative practices is basically like how schools in the past, if you would fight or if you would be disrespectful to a teacher, it would just be like, oh, you got to go home, we can't do this right now. But now restorative practices is just trying to talk through stuff and trying to see what's going on at home and see what could be maybe fueling the behavior. It's trying to talk and find solutions to the long-term problem rather than just kicking students out and having them miss seat time and causing, like, just feeding onto the school to prison pipeline.
Yeah. Before, I want to make sure we get this in, because I want you to talk about practical solutions, right, like to help curb violence in our community, because there are things that people should be aware of that can help deal with this. So what would some of those solutions be that you think people need to know about, that we should be discussing more?
One solution I'll say is jobs for teens. Like, if more teens were working, like TE, like, cause we're always in there. So, like, for someone who would commit a violent act, if they're working all the time, then they're not gonna be in the streets. You feel me? Like, so as long as you, like, if you got a job and you getting money, and that make it easier for teens, like TE or like being at a rec center or something. That makes it easier. So.
And like Yasir said, jobs, because a lot of violence is sometimes fueled off the poverty, where we feel like we have to go get what we need. And another thing I would say, like we talked about earlier, there are restorative practices to continue the funding and continue to work so kids can feel safe where they are over 6 hours a day.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but a special thank you to my guests for your insight and for the work that you are doing in Rochester. And you can learn more about this important work taking place at the Center for Teen Empowerment. Just go to teenempowerment.org/Rochester. And that wraps up another edition of Need to Know, Rochester's news magazine. I'm your host, Helene Bianduti Hofer. Thank you for joining me tonight and throughout the weekend here on WXXI TV. And don't forget, you can catch all of our episodes online at WXXInews.org. Just click on the Need to Know link. Have a great night.